The series starts in the busy streets of her new neighborhood. Xia Xiaoju, a curious girl, is getting used to her family's recent move. She eagerly asks her mother for a new uniform for her last year at the local school. But her mother, always practical, says no to spending extra money and wants to save instead. At the same time, Lu Shiyi and his friends, including the cheerful Cheng Lung, are joking around in a way that might seem like bullying. However, they are actually good friends. Cheng Lung shows his kindness when he helps Xiaoju, who almost falls near his home, leaving her with a good impression of him. During a fireworks event, Xiaoju gets nervous and accidentally causes danger for Shiyi. To make up for it, she goes to his room but gets a cold response. Her mother tries to fix things with money, but Xiaoju feels upset because she knows they don't have much money. Elsewhere, Cheng Lung has a quiet dinner with his mother, thinking about his late father. At school, Xiaoju's shyness makes her stand out. Her teacher asks her to read her classmates' names, but she mispronounces Shiyi's name, and everyone laughs at her. Wanting to fix her mistake, she sits in Shiyi's seat and says his name correctly. But she still faces teasing, which makes her more frustrated. Outside the classroom, Xiaoju finds comfort with her new friend, Lei Tao, until Shiyi drags her away. He warns her not to tell anyone about his injury, scaring her. Later, an accident with hot water makes things worse, and Shiyi insults her, leaving Xiaoju upset. At home, Xiaoju looks sadly at a friend's photo. Her brother accidentally cuts her shoe, so she fixes it with tape. The next day, Shiyi makes fun of her broken shoe, and the class laughs at her until Cheng Lung steps in and nudges Shiyi towards the classroom. Things get worse when the teacher suggests Xiaoju go back to her old school because she's having trouble fitting in. Cheng Lung sees her upset and tries to fix her shoe, but finds the tape. Xiaoju argues with her brother, but her mother defends him, showing she favors him. Xiaoju goes to her father's workplace to find comfort, but her mother's preference for her brother overshadows his kind words. Determined to succeed, Xiaoju begs her teacher for another chance. Cheng Lung notices her determination and admires her resolve. In class, Shang worries about his bad grades and fears his father's reaction. Shiyi, who likes to manipulate, tells Shang not to worry because Xiaoju will end up in last place. He offers to help Shang study. Cheng Lung, however, supports Xiaoju and promises to help her as they go through school together. Later, Xiaoju sees a light on in Shiyi's room and thinks he's studying late. Actually, he's sleeping. Thinking she needs to keep up, she studies hard and loses sleep. This makes her late for school the next day, but Cheng Lung gives her a ride on his bike. After the exam, Shang is upset because he forgot an answer. Xiaoju teases him, and he asks Shiyi for help next time. Xiaoju tries to help by secretly giving answers, but the paper falls at her feet. The teacher thinks she was cheating and embarrasses her in front of the class. Xiaoju's tears make Shiyi feel guilty. When Xiaoju gets home, her parents comfort her and give her a new uniform and shoes. The next day, she and her mother see Shiyi and Shang confessing. Xiaoju tries to thank Shiyi, but he dismisses her, making her angrier. To deal with her anger, Xiaoju starts running, which catches Shiyi's attention. He wants her on the school sports team and takes her recorder to test her speed. She gets mad and says mean things, ending their friendship. Shiyi keeps trying, but she rejects him, making him frustrated. They argue, and Shiyi storms off, hurting their relationship. At home, Xiaoju demands Shiyi pay for her broken recorder. He mocks her, but Cheng Lung helps fix it. The next day, Cheng Lung returns it and talks about joining the sports team. Xiaoju hesitates, worried about her grades. During sports class, Shiyi taunts Xiaoju, saying she's not good enough to match Cheng Lung. She accepts a bet with food as the prize. Cheng Lung easily outperforms her, and she grudgingly admires him. When Shiyi's video game is confiscated, he tricks Xiaoju into buying food as a distraction. As she returns, she narrowly avoids the teacher while she escapes through a window. Seeing his risky move, Xiaoju helps him, but the teacher scolds her, making Shiyi feel bad. When the teacher leaves, Shiyi comes out, and Xiaoju, feeling nervous, throws up on his shirt. Angry, he throws the dirty shirt at her. At home, her brother sees her washing the shirt and teases her about having a crush. Later, when they are in a tree, Xiaoju's brother gets hurt. When he finds out who the shirt belongs to, He suggests Xiaoju join the team to thank Shi. On her way home, Xiaoju meets Lung, who promises to join the team just for her. Feeling encouraged, she decides to join. Shi thinks she joined because of him, not knowing she did it for Lung. The four of them start hard training sessions, with Shi determined to win their next game. During one practice, Xiaoju accidentally spills juice on a member of the other team, causing them to sprain an ankle. Despite this, Xiaoju keeps going, motivated by Shi's belief in her speed. She runs as fast as she can and wins the game for their team. Concerned, Lung quickly takes her to the hospital and scolds her for being reckless. Xiaoju understands how important the competition was for Shi. As the final exams get closer, Shi wants to study medicine, but his father, a doctor, disagrees. His mother, however, supports him. Meanwhile, Xiaoju's family tries strange methods to make her smarter, like her mother believing a fake healer's claim that garlic juice helps. While studying, Shi comments on Xiaoju's smell, and she makes him smell the garlic juice, which surprises him. During one of their usual arguments, Shi gives Xiaoju a list of all available majors to help her decide on her future. When she goes home, her brother plays with the list, but their mother defends him. Frustrated, Xiaoju leaves in tears and runs into Shi again. He takes her to Lung to celebrate the new year together. As a kind gesture, he gives her his scarf to keep her warm, and they celebrate the new year as a group. As finals approach, the teacher encourages the students to do their best. Everyone is determined and studies hard. On the day of the exam, Lung gets caught in an unexpected situation. He sees a girl crying because her father is hurt. Even though he needs to get to his exam, he helps by calling for help and making sure the father gets assistance before heading to school. Meanwhile, Xiaoju feels sick from eating too much garlic, and Shi promises to take care of her. Despite his efforts, he arrives at school late and can't take the exam. When Lung gets home, his mother is sad as she remembers losing her husband in a similar accident. She tells Lung she is proud of him for helping, even though he missed the exam. She reminds him that no test is more important than a human life and that he will have another chance. Both Shi and Xiaoju pass their exams. To cheer Lung up, his friends plan a trip to the beach because Xiaoju remembers he wanted to go there. At the bus stop, Xiaoju and Shi argue about who should keep their money safe. Xiaoju jokes about being their tour guide, but Shi mocks her. On the train, Xiaoju thinks about love and blushes when she looks at Lung. Shi checks her temperature to make sure she's okay. Later, Xiaoju realizes she lost their money. Shi scolds her, but they continue to the beach with little money. When Xiaoju stumbles, Lung helps her, and Shi's request for her bag leads to an awkward moment. At the beach, Xiaoju, who can't swim, tries to get Lung into the water. They decide to stay longer and look for work at a fast food cart, where Xiaoju gets a minor injury. Lung takes care of her, making Shi jealous, who then takes over bandaging her wound. During their time together, Xiaoju sees a pretty hairpin but doesn't buy it, teasing herself. Shi secretly buys it for her later. Encouraged by Lei Tao, Xiaoju thinks about telling Lung how she feels during the holiday. Their evening starts with a game of truth or dare. Xiaoju wants to confess her feelings but gets a stomachache, and Lung helps her. People think they are a couple, making Xiaoju very happy. They watch the sunrise together, but their joy is interrupted when Shang suddenly leaves, making Shi sad. Xiaoju tries to comfort Shi. Back in the city, Shi wants to give Xiaoju the hairpin he bought, but he sees Lung giving her a gift first, making him jealous again. As they get ready for college, Xiaoju accidentally breaks Lung's gift, causing her to be upset. Her mother's words make things worse, and she leaves crying. On the bus, Shi and Lung see her, and Shi protects her from attention. When they arrive at the university, Lung leaves, and Shi comforts Xiaoju by giving her the hairpin. Xiaoju asks why Shi bought the hairpin. Nervous, he jokes that it looks bad, and he likes seeing her upset, making Xiaoju angry and kicking him out. Lei Tao arrives, and the girls go out, meeting Lin Yu, who knows Lung from college. Back at the housing, Xiaoju asks Shi to help her meet Lung, but Shi's roommate, who is barely dressed, makes Xiaoju uncomfortable. Lung arrives, and Xiaoju tells him about Lin Yu. Lung watches Lin Yu dance and is impressed. Xiaoju and Shi have tension, leading to a housing rule violation. Xiaoju mocks Shi, but he jokes about her height. Shi shows his basketball skills and is invited to join the team, surprising everyone. Later, Xiaoju and Lei Tao visit Chenglong at work. Xiaoju gets jealous when another girl tries to exchange numbers with him. Lei Tao encourages Xiaoju to confess her feelings, but she goes home sad because no one remembers her birthday. She invites Shi Yi to dinner, but he says no, making her feel worse. However, her friends surprise her with a birthday celebration. During the party, Lin Yu causes a chase, but Chenglong comforts Xiaoju, which Shi Yi watches with jealousy. When Xiaoju returns home, her mother apologizes and expresses her love, leading to an emotional hug. Inspired by Lei Tao, Xiaoju plans a trip to the basketball court. However, Shi takes the water mint for Chenglong, leaving Xiaoju disappointed. Despite this, they have dinner together, and Xiaoju offers to walk Chenglong to work, making Shi jealous. The next day, Xiaoju gives Chenglong a gift at the library, but he seems uninterested, frustrating her. She blames Shi Yi for her trouble, and they have a tense moment. Following Shi Yi, Xiaoju sees Chenglong taking something from his locker and leaves the gift there. When Shi Yi finds it, he realizes his feelings for Xiaoju. Shi Yi misunderstands a conversation between Xiaoju and Lei Tao, thinking she's talking about him. Motivated by Xiaoju's support, Shi Yi performs well in the basketball game, leading his team to victory. Xiaoju, feeling confident, tells Chenglong about her feelings, hugging him, unaware that Shi Yi is nearby. Realizing her mistake, she runs to Lei Tao in distress, while Shi Yi feels happy. The next day, Shi Yi gets ready to meet Xiaoju. When he sees her, he suggests going to a restaurant. He helps her onto the bus and makes sure she's seated. At the restaurant, Xiaoju explains that her confession to Chenglong was just a dare, surprising Shi Yi. He tells her he only sees her as a friend, which makes her feel better. But on the way back, Shi Yi acts differently, not helping her when she stumbles and choosing to sit alone. Xiaoju looks for Chenglong, while Shi Yi goes to the basketball court, feeling frustrated. He wonders about Xiaoju's plans to confess. That night, Lei Tao encourages Xiaoju to find another way to tell Chenglong her feelings. She decides to join a singing competition and borrows a guitar from one of Shi Yi's friends. Shi Yi initially criticizes her, but then helps, taking care of her injured finger and encouraging her. As they practice, Shi Yi supports her by holding the guitar while she sings. The next day, Chenglong offers Xiaoju some food and encourages her to do well in the competition. While she practices, Shi Yi watches from a distance. When a colleague interrupts her, Shi steps in to help but then retreats into his own thoughts, frustrating Xiaoju. She confronts him, but he reacts nervously. Alone in his room later, Shi thinks about Xiaoju and tries to calm his racing heart. The next day, Xiaoju has lunch with Chenglong, who asks her to deliver food to the sick Shi Yi. When Xiaoju enters Shi's room, she catches him looking at her photo, startling him. He goes to wash his face, and she notices his flushed cheeks. When she touches his forehead, her own heart starts to race. Later, Xiaoju asks Chenglong for advice on a gift, excitedly suggesting a hat. She thinks Chenglong will confess to her at the competition and eagerly waits for the event. On the competition day, Shi is drawn to Xiaoju but becomes jealous and wipes off her lipstick. When Chenglong arrives, he drops a hat, revealing it is for Lin Yu, not Xiaoju. Despite her disappointment, Shi promises to support Xiaoju during her performance. On stage, Xiaoju plans to dedicate her song to Chenglong but changes her mind when she sees Lin Yu wearing the hat. She sings for all her friends instead, with tears in her eyes. Shi is deeply affected by her tears and can't stop thinking about her. Xiaoju tells Lei Tao about Chenglong giving the hat to Lin Yu. Later, she tries to find out how Xiaoju is doing from Lei Tao, but she doesn't tell him anything. Xiaoju then sees Chenglong with Lin Yu, leading to a confrontation between the two girls. Their friends step in to stop the fight. Chenglong takes care of Lin Yu's injuries, leaving Xiaoju feeling unnoticed and jealous. She decides to go back home to her family. Unable to stop thinking about her, Shi follows her, wanting to understand his feelings for her. Outside Xiaoju's home, Shi calls out to her and invites her to join him. Noticing her injured hand, he asks about it and then gets some medicine to treat her wound. Curious about her tears, he listens as she talks while they share a meal. Under the influence of alcohol, Xiaoju admits she has feelings for a guy who loves her friend. She asks if he loves anyone, and he says yes. She tearfully wishes his love is returned and asks him not to tease her. Touched by her emotions, he gently wipes away her tears. Taking action, she carries her on his back and guides her home. In her drunken state, she mistakes him for Changlong and declares her love, kissing him. Startled, he sets her down, tells her he's Shi, and then carefully takes her to his place. Worried about her family's reaction, he lets her rest at his home, placing her on his bed and watching over her all night. When she wakes up confused, he reassures her, explaining he brought her there to avoid worrying her mother. Despite being nervous, he tells her his family isn't home and explains why he slept in the same room. Back at college, Xiaoju looks for a job. Seeing the job listings, she dismisses them as unsuitable and promises to find her a better one. Meanwhile, Changlong asks Xiaoju to help him pick a gift for Linyu. As they browse the store, Changlong's choice makes Xiaoju's heart ache, but she hides her feelings, saying her tears are from a minor irritation. Outside, she tells her about a job at his friend's uncle's store. While Changlong confesses to Linyu, Xiaoju accepts the job and starts working the next day. Despite her father's offer of money, she wants to be independent and refuses, asking her employer for an advance, which is denied. A few days later, Xiaoju visits Shi, feeling hungry. He gives her biscuits, covers her mouth with them, and pays for them without hesitation. Later, they see Linyu with her boyfriend, surprising Changlong and Shi. They all have lunch together, where Changlong drinks too much after seeing Linyu with her boyfriend. Concerned, Shi and Xiaoju help him out. Changlong, feeling heartbroken, questions their feelings for him, making Xiaoju feel unsettled. As Shi treats Changlong's injury, he feels dizzy but ignores it. He understands Changlong's pain, realizing they are both hurting. Meanwhile, Xiaoju thinks about her chances with Changlong. Next, Xiaoju and Shi are on the basketball court. Xiaoju is distracted by thoughts of Changlong and accidentally hits Shi in the face. She panics as he almost faints. After helping him wash his face, they go for a meal. Seeing her enjoy the chicken, Shi offers her his portion, saying he's not hungry. Watching her happily, he accidentally gets food on her face and wipes it off, feeling his heart race. The next day, Xiaoju gets an advance from her employer, and Shi is visibly happy. Later, when she collects her salary, she learns that Shi provided the advance. Grateful, Xiaoju returns the money to him and thanks him. One day, a box almost falls on Xiaoju's head, but Shi saves her and gets injured. Seeing blood, he faints. Xiaoju rushes him to the doctor and learns he has a blood phobia. The next day, she visits him with food and tells him to take care of himself. Thankful, he hugs her and admits he needs comfort. She reassures him by gently stroking his back and telling him he'll be fine. To help him face his fear, Xiaoju takes him to see a blood donation. Later, their friends decide to return to their hometown. Meanwhile, Linyu gets in trouble for not finishing her project, but Changlong helps her, earning her gratitude. Xiaoju takes Shi to the blood donation center again, but it's empty. Instead, they go to the skating rink and enjoy their time together. Back home, Xiaoju's mother is slaughtering a chicken, and Xiaoju nudges Shi to watch. He nearly faints, revealing his phobia to everyone. Xiaoju apologizes, but Shi reassures her. To thank her for helping him, he gives her chrysanthemums meant for his grave, insisting she take them despite her scolding. Xiaoju watches a romance film and decides to invite Changlong. On the way, she meets the basketball team's assistant, who gives her a ticket for Shi. Xiaoju gives the ticket to Shi without mentioning its source. Happy, he thinks she's asking him out. She also gives a ticket to Changlong, who agrees to join her. The next day, Linyu gets a breakup call from her boyfriend and arrives at the date venue to find another girl there. Linyu tells the other girl that Xiaoju asked her to deliver the message, thinking he wouldn't respond if Xiaoju did it herself. Despite her confession, he rejects her and returns to college frustrated. Seeing him, Xiaoju tries to talk, but he ignores her, showing he's upset. Xiaoju apologizes and invites him to a hot pot dinner to make up. On his way to meet her, he hears the same girl talking about her date, assumes Xiaoju set it up, and goes to the library instead. Meanwhile, Xiaoju eagerly waits for Shi to arrive. In the library, Shi sees the girl and realizes something. He rushes to the restaurant and finds Xiaoju waiting patiently. He apologizes, and she quickly forgives him, and they spend the evening together. Later, she learns from a friend that Xiaoju plans to see a movie with someone and decides to follow her the next day to find out who it is. At the same time, Lung comforts Lin Yu, who recently broke up with her boyfriend. As Xiaoju waits, Shi's sympathy for her grows. When he arrives, ready to take her away, Xiaoju reveals that her date is with the man she loves, finally given the chance. Shocked by her enduring love, Shi unknowingly speaks poorly of his best friend. Angry, Xiaoju leaves, and Shi follows her. She finds comfort with Lung and scolds him for not being there. Shi is speechless, realizing Xiaoju's long-lasting love for Lung and feeling foolish for not seeing it sooner. Lung, unable to explain Xiaoju's frustration, suggests they can fix things, emphasizing they are friends, not romantically involved. He mentions that Lin Yu needs him. Learning that Lin Yu is single, Xiaoju leaves, leaving Shi heartbroken. Despite his pain, Shi criticizes Lung for abandoning Xiaoju, urging him to make amends. The next day, Lung tries to talk to Xiaoju, but Shi quickly intervenes, taking her away from Lung and staying close to her. Later, Xiaoju and Shi are seen together. Seeing Lung with Lin Yu, who is preparing for a college race, Shi suggests Xiaoju leave, but she decides to join the race. Shi promises to support her and encourages her to focus on the race. During the race, Xiaoju sees Lung cheering only for Lin Yu, which causes her to fall. While friends gather around her, Shi takes her to the stadium clinic, which is empty. He takes care of her injuries himself, scolding her for competing with Lin Yu and not believing in herself. Her tears make him regret his harsh words. Later, friends arrive, and Lung tells Shi he helped Xiaoju and overcame his fear of blood. Shi visits Xiaoju's home, comforting her over her math failure and offering to help. He takes her out for a comforting meal, where Lung's presence makes Shi jealous. Shi advises Xiaoju to pursue tourism management because of her dislike for math, and his suggestion makes sense to her. The quartet reunites and heads towards the housing. On the bus, Xiaoju sees Lung with Lin Yu, and Shi tries to shield her from the sight. He gently tells her that Lung only sees her as a friend. Despite Xiaoju's continuous declarations of love for Lung and her obliviousness to Shi's feelings, Shi treats her kindly. Agreeing to join her on a photography trip to rural areas for college, Shi gives her a lollipop, which she accepts with her mouth, making his heart race. After finishing their task, they spend the night at a villager's home. When Shi tries to tutor her in a difficult subject, she resists. He pulls her onto his lap, hiding his inner turmoil and enduring the pain of her unawareness. Despite his frustration, especially when Xiaoju compares his actions to Lung's perceived kindness, Shi tries to be sweet and understanding. As she falls asleep, he gently covers her with a blanket, silently wishing for her love in return. The next morning, he makes a special meal for her, hoping to cheer her up about Lung. When she learns she got into a new department, she happily hugs Shi. However, his own feelings become more complicated when Lung asks for their help to create a romantic setting to confess to Lin Yu. Xiaoju notices Shi's inner struggle and feels unable to help him or herself. When Lung asks for gift ideas, Xiaoju suggests a heart-shaped box of chocolates. Later, Shi buys a heart-shaped box of chocolates, planning to confess his feelings to Xiaoju. He becomes jealous when he sees one of Lin Yu's maids talking to her, feeling that Lung's attention isn't enough. Soon after, Lung arrives, can't find Lin Yu, and asks them to help search for her. As they wait for Lung to return with Lin Yu, Shi and Xiaoju stand together, both feeling emotional. Xiaoju prepares to confess her feelings and offer the chocolate, but Shi breaks down in tears, insisting she isn't ready. She recalls Lung's past kindness and compares it to Shi's initial teasing, though she acknowledges his current kindness. Touched by Xiaoju's vulnerability, Shi throws the chocolate aside and takes her hand. They head to Lung's place, where Shi tells her that the lights and atmosphere are all for her. He offers his shoulder for her to lean on, promising to be there for her that night. Meanwhile, Lung and Lin Yu are late and stay at the bridge to watch the fireworks. Lung finally confesses his feelings, while Shi stays with Xiaoju, comforting her with a heavy heart. The next day, Xiaoju meets a classmate who offers her a ride to the bus stop for her first tour guide job. Shortly after, she arrives, saying he wants to join to see her fail, but it's clear he's jealous of her classmate. During the tour, she helps create a romantic atmosphere and assists with guiding the tourists. When he notices Xiaoju is hungry, he buys her food and gently covers her with his jacket as she falls asleep, unable to look away from her. As the tour ends, they find out 2 people are missing. Xiaoju stays behind to look for them, and she stays with her until they confirm the missing people have returned to the city. Exhausted, Xiaoju nearly cries, thanking Shi for his help and praising his character, noting how popular he is with girls. She wonders about the girl he likes and doubts she returns his feelings. Jokingly, Xiaoju suggests she might be the girl he likes but dismisses it, saying they are like siblings, causing Shi to hold back his confession. Determined to find a way home, they come across a bike. Despite being tired, Shi insists on giving Xiaoju a ride back. His mood changes when Xiaoju gets a call from her maid, and he becomes frustrated. When they arrive, he waits for her but gets angry when Xiaoju compares him unfavorably to her maid. She storms off, only to be invited to a party by the basketball team leader's assistant, knowing Xiaoju will be there. Seeing Xiaoju with her classmate again, she realizes he might lose her for good. He gathers his courage, pulls her aside, and finally confesses his feelings. He tells her that he's loved her since high school and genuinely cares for her. Shocked, Xiaoju accuses him of being insane before storming off, leaving Shi stunned by her reaction. In her room, Lei Tao asks Xiaoju about her feelings. Xiaoju says she always feels comfortable around him, unlike Qinglong, but she only sees him as a brother. The next day, she tries to avoid him, but he catches up with her. He tells her to take her time and says they can still be friends until she decides. However, Xiaoju wants to end things. She calls him and asks to meet. When he arrives, he sees a love letter addressed to someone named Xiao. He becomes sad. Lin Yu finds the letter, and it becomes clear that Xiao is Qinglong. As things get tense, she steps in, hugs Xiaoju, and says they are dating. Later, he tells her he confronted Qinglong on purpose to reject him, but Xiaoju's actions almost ruined it. He suggests they pretend to be a couple to fix things with Qinglong. Alone in his room, he reads the letter sadly, thinking about how to win her heart. The next day, Xiaoju asks him to pretend they broke up. He protests, saying they just said they were together, but she insists until Qinglong sees them. Qinglong joins them and says he is happy, noting they always seemed perfect for each other. In the library, Xiaoju watches him with mixed feelings. A girl approaches and confesses her feelings to him, but Xiaoju interrupts, claiming to be his girlfriend, making the girl leave in a hurry. Later, the girl spreads news of Shi Yi and Xiaoju's supposed relationship on the campus network. Xiaoju thinks this is his way of making their bond stronger. Angry, she confronts him, accusing him of past bullying and ignoring his kindness. She says she never loved him and never will, leaving Shi heartbroken and Xiaoju feeling sorry for her harsh words. The next day, Shi talks to Xiaoju and tells her his real intentions. He suggests they pretend to break up, saying he just wanted to show her his true self. Xiaoju says sorry, and he hugs her, admitting he might not be better than Qinglong but truly loves her, asking for a chance to date as a way to make things right. The next day, the 4 friends meet, and Xiaoju playfully feeds Shi Yi. She then takes a big bite herself and makes him do the same. On their way home, he surprises her by buying a toy, like Qinglong did for Lin Yu, showing his caring side. Back in her room, she tells Lei Tao she feels bad for using Shi Yi as a shield. To make up for it, she takes him to the movies. They watch a scary movie, and even though she worries about his fear, he reassures her and holds her drink, looking at her with love. Things change when Lin Yu's ex-boyfriend returns, saying he was forced to break up with her and wants to get back together. He talks about a near-fatal accident, making Lin Yu feel torn. The next day, Qinglong sees them together, and Lin Yu says she regrets things but decides to go back to her boyfriend. She agrees to travel abroad with him. Before leaving, she hugs Xiaoju, saying she always knew Xiaoju loved Lang and apologizes for being selfish. Qinglong is heartbroken, and when Xiaoju visits him, he bitterly asks if she wants to get back together. Xiaoju realizes she no longer loves him but tries to comfort him as a friend. Meanwhile, Shi gets an offer to study abroad, leaving Xiaoju confused. She congratulates him with tears in her eyes. The next day, he tells her he won't go if she wants him to stay. Seeing her blush, he senses she has feelings for him. While Xiaoju is on her second tour guiding, Cheng Lung hears about a rock slide in the area. He rushes to find her and is relieved to see her safe, although her bag is stolen. When they get it back, Xiaoju checks for Shi's hairpin. Seeing this, Cheng Lung says she really loves Shi, and she realizes her true feelings. But from a distance, Shi thinks she is confessing to Cheng Lung and decides to leave without saying goodbye. The next day, Xiaoju rushes to Shi's home to tell him she loves him, but he has already left. Desperate, she hurries to the airport, but she is too late. Years later, Xiaoju works at a tourism company, and Cheng Lung is a successful businessman. Even though she tries to move on, Xiaoju can't forget Shi, and their parents push for her and Cheng Lung to marry, but they both strongly oppose it. Suddenly, Cheng Lung tells her that Shi is coming back in a few days. At work, Xiaoju's boss asks her to meet an important client, who turns out to be Shi. She is shocked and happy, but then he asks her to help him find wedding venues. They drive to the beach, and he asks her to sing a song she once sang for Cheng Lung. At the beach, he sees a hairpin like her old one and teases her about it before leaving it behind. While Xiaoju takes pictures of the sea, she thinks Shi is taking pictures of her, but he tells her to move away, staying distant. Meanwhile, Cheng Lung sees Lin Yu with a new boyfriend. He learns that her relationship with her ex ended again, and she has moved on. Later, Xiaoju, Shi, and their friends meet up, and they are surprised by Shang Shang's return. He announces that he is marrying Lin Yu. Xiaoju realizes the wedding Shi mentioned is Shang Shang's. That night, Xiaoju drinks too much, and Shi carries her to her room. In her drunken state, she calls his name, and he asks if she knows who he is. She says, Shi, and kisses him. At the wedding, Shi gives Xiaoju a ring and proposes in front of everyone. They share a tender kiss, ending their amazing love story. So the moral of the story is, if you ever want to win someone's heart, just make sure to accidentally throw up on their shirt, pretend you're in a fake relationship, and always keep a backup hairpin handy. Life's a crazy ride, so embrace the chaos and laugh through the drama.